Alright, so the mini totems always ask me, Papa Flesh, what the best legendaries are. And you know what? I haven't really made a video about that, so let's go ahead and make a video about that. So, gonna just be talking about all the different legendaries for the different specs, or the different talent choices for Elemental Shaman. So let's get right into it. I am going to say though that since Ice Fury is lagging a bit behind Lightning Rod and Ascendance, I'm not really going to be talking about that spec, that talent build. So I'm just going to be talking about Ascendance and Lightning Rod. So, your number one best in slot legendary, Eye of the Twisting Nether. This is your best legendary for both Ascendance and Lightning Rod, and this is just, it's very versatile, gives you a nice damage buff, and it pretty much just procs off of, Elemental Blast. It'll proc all three aspects of this, so you're gonna have very high uptime, like overall in this buff. It's definitely a good legendary. Um, yeah, it is our best. So if you have this, you should be very happy. It's pretty good in AoE situations as well. Probably not the best, but for single target and like overall purposes, you generally do want the Eye of the Twisting Nether. So our second best is Uncertain Reminder, the helmet. Now, this is really close to the belt. However, this can be used in some ways because there are macros you can use to like have it equipped beforehand, and you can use Bloodlust and like have the macro switch out this helmet for like a normal helmet and then put like your belt on, and you'll still gain the effect. So as long as Bloodlust happens or Time Warp or Heroism, whatever happens while you have the helmet equipped, you'll still gain bonus and like benefit from this, even if you unequip the helmet. So this could lead to some interesting choices like lusting on bosses, like right before the pull. Like if you know maybe 1 second or half a second before the pull, it's a little risky, but it's still very good. It's our second best legendary for things like Lightning Rod and Ascendance, but you also need to keep in mind that the belt on pure single target situations can obviously be slightly better in some scenarios. A lot of people say, well, hey, if Uncertain Reminder's second, how come the belt actually sims like 5k DPS higher for me? You know what? That's just your gear setup can do it. It could be your stats, your all these different things have an effect on that. But generally, with the controlled setup that uh, the Sims were done in, Uncertain Reminder, the helmet here, is our second best. Now, also keep in mind that this helm will be really good on shorter fights, like if you're doing like a normal or heroic farm or something like that, where you're just powering through it really fast and the fights are like 2 minutes long or something. The helm is going to be better than like the belt or something like that. Or if you're also doing like some AoE fight and you don't really have like a really good AoE legendary like the bracers, the chain lightning bracers, then this helmet will definitely be better than the belt. So our third best, or second best technically, however you want to do it, is the Pristine Protoscale Girdle. This is the legendary belt. This is really good single target belt, especially for Ascendance. It's still good for Lightning Rod, especially if you're running Echo of the Elements, like a Lightning Rod single target build. So then it's because you're still getting a good chunk of Lava Bursts off, and single target Lightning Rod build, your damage breakdown actually is still Lava Burst is the highest. Like Lightning Rod damage is not that high in single target. So the belt, nothing really to say here. It's just it's a passive effect. It does a lot of damage. It's really good, and a lot of times in some situation or like for some characters, the belt will sim higher than the helmet, but they are really close on single target. Just keep in mind that the helmet will be better for things like AoE scenarios or like Mythic Plus or somewhere wherever you can do the helm swap effect and get the effect of the helmet during Lust off the pull. So the fourth best is Echoes of the Great Sundering, the shoulders. So some people are wondering about the shoulders, like, oh, they must be better, right? Because you have 25 extra maelstroms, so you get, 62.5% chance. No, unfortunately, I believe it's still accurate as according to the tooltip. It has a 50% chance based on maelstrom spent, so it caps out at 50%. So the proc rate hasn't changed. However, the legendary has gotten better than it was in the past because Earthquake is stronger, especially when you have the gold Seismic Storm. This makes it like very good on single target. Obviously, before if you had the shoulders, you would definitely be using Earthquake on single target. So continue to do that. Just make sure you always use your Earthquake. Try to make sure it's buffed by Elemental Focus. You know, that's the buff you get after you get a crit on one of your spells. That'll give it a nice damage boost as well. You know, try to hold on to it for a couple. Don't like dump it right away. If you know in like 7 seconds there's going to be some AOE, you can save that proc and then dump it as soon as the ads come out, something like that. So the shoulders are definitely very good. Um, they're good for both Ascendance and Lightning Rod. So if you have these, don't worry. It's barely behind these other ones. It's actually really good once you get the gold, the new golden. So next best is Sefu's. Sefu's secret. Um, yeah, it's just, you know, it's a decent ring. It gives you 10% movement speed and 2% haste passive, and then there's the proc for interrupting, stunning, dispelling, loss of control effect, all that kind of stuff. This can be very good for Mythic Plus. I personally don't think it's that great for raids because there isn't a consistent way to always be able to proc this. But with the passive stats that it has, like the 2% extra haste, it's really not that bad. It's not that far behind the other legendaries, but it definitely is a small chunk behind the top 4. Alright, so number 6, we have Kil'jaeden's Burning Wish, the trinket. Yeah, this is great. Obviously, it can be done in like Mythic Plus or some AoE fights or something, where you can time this on-use effect with like ad spawns or something like that, and you can get, you know, a good chunk of damage. It's also a great stat stick. So if you don't have things like Whispers and like a high Whispers and Metronome, this is a great trinket to have. Not much else to say. Just, you know, make sure you use the proc. You essentially use the on-use effect just like you would Stormkeeper. Like you can so it's a DPS increase to save it for a little bit to make sure that you're hitting multiple targets with it. So number 7, Pridaz. I'm not even going to try to say the rest of the name. Something Magnum Opus. Yeah, Pridaz is good. It's a great progression legendary. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like the Absorb Shield is really strong for progression. It can really save your life, and sometimes that's, you know, all you need to kill the boss. If you barely live with this because of the shield, then that's important. In terms of DPS, yeah, it has crit and mastery on it, so that's great. And it has a socket. You know, it has haste as well. Because it has all these extra stats, like in a high amount of the 3 secondary stats, it does sim pretty high, but these other ones do sim slightly ahead. So Pridaz, definitely worth it. Yeah. So this slot right here, actually this should be here. This slot right here is for the panties. So let's look at the pants. Roots of Shaladrisil. So these pants are not that great, obviously. You can see the only real benefit you get DPS wise is that it has 3 stats on it. And, you know, that's about all I can say for the pants. Standing still causes you to send deep roots into the ground, healing you for 3% every 1 second. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic on the artifact challenge, Agatha, but it's not that great in other things. Like, sure, maybe it'll, I don't know, like, it can promote some bad behavior in raids. Like, oh, I don't need to move out of this so I can parse, so I can heal, but I'm kind of being an ass by doing so. I don't know. It's not that good. Don't do stuff like that. Um, but yeah, it's a legendary. If you have it, it's okay. I don't know what else to say, but it is one of the worst. So, and the one thing I'm surprised by is that it's actually better than the boots, which is the next one I'm going to talk about. So Earthshock has a 20% chance to refund all the mails from spent, crit haste, booties. Yeah, this is not that great. Now that the proc chance is much lower, if this was still at 30% proc chance, it would actually be, you know, one of the top again, like it was. This and the shoulders used to be the best single target legendaries individually before 7.1 came out, and even when they were together, it provided even more synergy, so they were really good. But with the proc chance now, it's not that great. Um, People ask, oh, well, aren't these better because your Earthshock does more damage now? You have 125 Maelstrom, that new trait. No, actually, it's not better because, yes, while the Earthshock can do a little bit more damage now, you're also casting Earthshock less, so it balances out. It does a little more damage, but you're casting it less. So you're going to get less procs because you're casting it less overall, but overall it'll be more damage. I guess that means really if you have these and you get lucky procs like back to back to back to back, that it'll be slightly better than it was before. Yes, so that's a thing. It's a little more RNG based, but generally this legendary is not that great anymore. Um, but it is a cool thing like rotation wise to be able to have things like double Earth Shock, and that's really fun. I really like that aspect. It's just it's unfortunate how low it is in the damage. So the second to last legendary is actually the crafted gloves, the vigilance perch. It is not that great for us, honestly. The effect is not that great, especially if you can already fly like I am, because I grinded rep like a no lifer. Um, yeah, I mean the really big thing about this is you have three prismatic sockets, so it's essentially having a third stat. You know, it's like 450 crit or something. Yeah, it's it's not that great. Yeah, if on a fresh alt, and keep in mind all these legendaries are usable at 101 now. So on a fresh alt, this is not terrible. Like if you have the money or if you want to do it, you're leveling an alt. Like you can equip this at 101, you know you'll have a decent legendary starting off, and it does not count for your bad luck protection. So even if you had this, you'll still be able to get legendaries really fast as if you had none, because it does not count for any of that. So if you're rich or you just like something cool, craft this for an alt. Make a new Ellie Shaman. You know, maybe that's why you're watching this video. You want to see if you want to make an Ellie Shaman because you want to see how the legendaries are, stuff like that. But this legendary overall, in terms of like, DPS, is not the best. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's cool though. It's a nice legendary. And the last one we have are the bracers. Chain lightning deals 5% increased damage each subsequent target. Yeah, so this is obviously not good in single target. On a pure single target, it's actually useless other than stats, because you don't chain lightning. You don't get a 5% increase on the first hit. It's only starting on the second hit. Um, but this is great in some fights in Nighthold, like I don't know, maybe Chronomatic and Scorpion, Spellblade, Heroic Botanist, Tichondrius, stuff like that. Like half the fights you can get some good use out of this if you don't have anything better. Even me, like I just got the helmet last night, but I was using the bracers on a lot of those AoE fights where I'd run Lightning Rod, and I'd run that over the belt. So I'm not sure if I'd run it over like the ring, because the ring is still really good, and a lot of times there is an opportunity to Elemental Blast. Maybe I'll run helmet and bracers in AoE, like short AoE fights. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's pretty much all I have for you guys in this video here. I'm gonna go ahead and re-equip those and put everything back on here. But yeah, so let me know if you have any questions about the legendaries. Definitely ask me. That's what this video is about, anyways. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye.